Hi there, I'm IELTS Master Lee, and welcome to this IELTS Speaking lesson. In this lesson, we have a Band 9 sample answer with a script, and today's topic is Speaking Part 2, Describe a Journey. There's a lot of great content in this lesson. Let's get started. In this lesson, you will, number 1, learn 2 different ways to practice IELTS speaking without a partner. Number 2, listen to a Band 9 speaking recording of a Part 2 topic describing a journey. And number 3, examine advanced speaking techniques, vocabulary, and grammar from the recording. So I'm going to pick out a few nice examples from the recording and explain them so we can examine them together. So, first, we have these different ways you can practice speaking Part 2 by yourself. The first way is record, transcribe, correct, repeat. So first, you'll record yourself talking about a topic, and so for 2 minutes for speaking Part 2. Next, you'll listen to your recording and write down everything you say. Transcribe it. Also mark any words you think you might have mispronounced or made a mistake with. Next, check your transcription for any mistakes and correct them. And finally, repeat this process from step 1 for a maximum of 3 recordings. So that's the first practice method you can do on your own without a partner. Next is practice method number 2. Listen, memorize, record, correct, repeat. This is a little bit different. First, you're going to listen to my recording, and you'll notice that it's not perfect. This is my normal speech, and to make it realistic, I only took 1 minute to make notes. Next, try to memorize my recording, including the ums, the pauses, the intonation, etc. It's quite natural, so it's useful to memorize where I pause, the changes in my intonation, and things like that. Next, after you've memorized it, record yourself doing the same thing and compare the 2 recordings. Try to correct any mistakes you make when you're listening. And if you notice something that's different, try to see, is that a problem? Do I need to correct it? Or is it okay as it is? And then finally, repeat this process from step 1 up to 3 times. All right? Cool. Today's question is, describe a journey, for example, by car, plane, or boat, that you remember well. You should say where you went, how you traveled, why you went on the journey, and explain why you remember this journey well. Next, we're going to take a look at my example. Are you ready? Here we go. So I'd like to talk about a journey that I took when I was a little kid. Together with my family, I went to the Grand Canyon, which is a popular tourist attraction. It's a national park in the United States. And I know we traveled by car. I can't remember how long the trip was, but I'd guess it was about a week. And the reason we went on this trip, well, it was probably because my parents wanted to take me for a nice trip, a nice family trip. That's a common thing to do with some families. But the reason that I remember this journey so well is not because the Grand Canyon was amazing. I'm sure it was, but there was something else that happened while I was on this journey. And that was, on the trip, on our way to the Grand Canyon, we stopped by a bookstore. And, you know, I liked reading books a little bit when I was a kid, so I think my mom recommended this particular book to me. And I don't remember what it was right now, but we bought the book because she said, oh, this is a good idea. You might want to read this book. And so she gave it to me, and in the car, probably for about 4 hours or 5 hours, instead of looking out at all of the scenery and all of these new places we were driving to, I just had my head in my book. I don't think I looked up at all. And I just read the book from cover to cover for like 4 or 5 hours, just sitting in the car in the back seat instead of looking out at whatever beautiful nature they wanted me to look at. I know they gave me a little bit of a hard time about it, but hey, you know, it was a memorable journey for sure, because even to this day, I still remember reading that book in the car and really enjoying it and having a good time with it. So yeah, that's my story. So that's my recording. Let's take a look at a few interesting language examples that I highlighted. The first one is in the beginning, and it's, and the reason we went on this trip? Well, it was probably because here I'm asking and answering a question in the middle of my speech. I'm not asking this question to the examiner. I'm asking it to myself, and then I'm answering it right after. This is a very nice speech technique, and I recommend you practice it. You say the question for yourself, and then you answer it. And then the reason we went on this trip? Well, it was probably because. Now, you notice I don't say, why did we go on this trip? I tried to rephrase it. I didn't do it on purpose. It was just natural for me. Instead of saying why, I said, and the reason. So this is an interesting technique here. Next, but the reason I remember this journey so well is not because the Grand Canyon was amazing. So I talked about the Grand Canyon, the Grand Canyon, the Grand Canyon in the beginning, and then I said, the reason I remember this journey is not because of the Grand Canyon. Ooh, this is also quite a nice technique. Now, this is for storytelling. You don't have to do this in your IELTS speaking, but if the examiner hears you giving examples like of what something is not, and then after that you follow up with why you remember it so well, I think they'll be a little bit impressed. Or a little bit more than impressed. All right, and then number 3, I just had my head in my book. This is a nice expression for when you're reading and you're super focused, you're really enjoying it maybe. You just had your head in your book, or head in a book is also okay. And then from cover to cover, this is another useful expression. From cover to cover means from the beginning of the book until the end of the book. So I read from cover to cover, finished the whole book. And then last, number 5, gave me a little bit of a hard time. This is another useful expression. What is giving someone a hard time? Well, it means maybe you scold them a little bit. You say, that's not good. Or maybe you tease them a little bit, make fun of them, things like that. You give them a little bit of a hard time. All right, so these are some useful expressions from today's speaking practice example. Cool. Thanks so much for watching this lesson. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find us at youtube.com/IELTS Master or IELTS-master.com. Check out the other videos on the right-hand side. And finally, what do you want to see next? Let me know in the comments. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Have a fantastic day.